creating a joint with the Kreg jig K5, or with any Kreg jig for that matter, there are two keys to creating the strongest, tightest fitting joint possible, and they go hand in hand. First, you need to select the correct screw for your material. The screws, after all, hold the joint together, so you need to make sure that you have the right type and the right length for your project. Second, you need to set up the Kreg jig and the drill bit to position the pocket hole properly in the wood. This will minimize the chances of the wood splitting, and it'll make sure that you get maximum engagement of the screw threads to take full advantage of their strength. Take a look at this cutaway of a Kreg joint to see what I mean. The pocket hole is drilled so that the tip of the screw exits the workpiece roughly at the center of the wood thickness. This ensures that there's plenty of material around the pocket and that the screw doesn't enter the mating piece too close to one face, which could split out the edge of the board. The screw is also the proper length for this joint because it goes a long ways into the mating piece, so there are lots of threads engaged for holding power. But there's still plenty of material beyond the tip of the screw, so it won't poke through and it won't split the face of the mating piece. That gives you a good look at how the screw holds a Kreg joint together. And length is important, but there's more to choosing the correct screw than just length. There's screw composition, head type, and thread type. You'll find a video that tells you everything you'd ever want to know about choosing the correct screw at kregtool.com. For now though, we'll boil it down. For most of the projects that you'll build with your Kreg jig K5, you're going to choose either a coarse thread screw for plywood or softwoods like pine, or a fine threaded screw for hardwoods like oak, cherry, or maple. After that, you'll choose the length. With the K5, finding the correct length screw is easy because there's a screw chart right inside the lid on one of the extension wings. Just look across the top to find your wood thickness and then down for the correct screw length. Once you know the screw length, you're ready to set up the jig and the drill bit, which we showed you how to do in video 2, creating a Kreg joint with the K5. The process is fast and simple. The screw chart with the K5 quickly shows you the screw length you'll need when you're joining two pieces of the same thickness, which is probably going to be the case with most of your projects. But what do you do when you need to join two pieces that are different thicknesses? We get questions about this because it might seem complicated, but the process is really pretty simple. This coffee table project is a great example. The legs are 3.5 inches thick, but the aprons, just 3/4. It's still easy to join these pieces with the Kreg jig though, even though they're different thicknesses. Start by selecting the thinner of the two pieces that you'll be joining. Whenever possible, you want to put the pocket holes in the thinner piece because it'll give you better control when you go to position the pockets. So obviously with our coffee table, we're going to put the pocket holes in the 3/4 inch apron. When we know that, we can go to setting up the jig and the drill bit stop collar. Again, our apron is 3/4 of an inch thick, so we've set the drill bit guide block to 3/4 of an inch. So now we can set the stop collar on the drill bit, again based on that thinner piece. Like we told you in video 2, with the K5, just go to the screw chart, find your material thickness, and you'll see that for 3/4 inch, we'd normally use an 1.25 inch screw. So now, I can grab the drill bit stop collar setup block and put it in place, and drop the tip of the drill bit into the step that matches that screw length. Just set the stop collar on till it's against the guide block and tighten it down. Now I know that I can drill the pockets in my thinner piece and they'll be positioned properly. It's just the same as if I was going to join it to a piece of the same thickness. Pretty straightforward and simple. Okay, so I drilled all of my pocket holes using the normal setups, and now it's time to select the right length screw. And with pieces of different thickness, it's a little bit different process, and that explains why I'm driving a screw into an unfinished joint. One of the nice things about a Kreg joint is I can drive a screw into this pocket and then hold it up against my other piece, and no harm, no foul. I don't ever have to actually attach anything here, so there's no damage. So you remember that we called for an 1.25 inch screw for 3/4 inch material. So that's what I've driven in here, and I'm going to hold it in place, and you can see that even with the apron flush with the edge of the leg, I've got no problem. Screw goes in fine, doesn't poke through, I'm going to get a good tight joint. But it's a coffee table. It's going to get moved around, maybe even sat on. So I want a little bit more strength. So big thick leg, big screw, right? I've gone to our 2.5, our longest screw. And I hold the apron in place and you can see there's going to be a problem. The screw's going to poke through. Now if I had a nice big offset on the apron, I'd be okay. But in my design, there's just a small offset and that screw's still just a little bit too long. So by experimenting, I know that I'm going to switch to a 2-inch screw and it'll all be great. Kreg joint makes it really easy to experiment. And in fact, when you get your K5, experimenting is one of the best things you can do. Check out the features, the usage techniques, and everything we've shown you in these videos, and you'll be well on your way to building it yourself and building it better. So from everyone at Kreg, thanks a lot for your purchase. Be sure to check out KregTool.com to learn more about the Kreg Jig K5 and other great Kreg products, or you can find us on our Kreg Jig owners community online and on your favorite social media sites. Thanks.